Welcome back, Tribe. Got one here from CBS Mornings. It said the CEO who gave all his employees minimum $70,000 paycheck is now thriving 6 years later. Let's find out.
And 6 years ago, when we first told you about it, 2015, Dan Price is his name. He raised the salary of everyone at his Seattle credit card processing company to at least $70,000 a year.
How'd it turn out for him?
Price's decision was met with predictions of bankruptcy from his worst critics, but we're here to tell you now that has not happened. Instead, the company is actually thriving, and as Carter Evans shows us, the higher pay has helped employees buy homes and start families.
New parents and coworkers Carrie Chen and Alex Franklin can't wait to introduce their son to colleagues at work, a company they say made it possible for them to begin a family in the first place.
Beautiful house.
And you weren't the only ones that had a baby, huh?
No, everybody had a baby.
So it's a
Look at
baby
that.
boom here. Why do you think that's happening?
We can afford it.
They both work at Gravity Payments in Seattle, a credit card processing company with a CEO who 6 years ago did something that shocked everyone.
And we're going to have a minimum $70,000 pay rate for everyone that works here.
You had people making $35,000 a year, but you told them you were going to double their salary.
Yeah.
And then you actually had to do it.
Right.
How did you pull it off?
Well, it's tricky. You know, I took the $1 million pay cut.
That's right, $1 million pay cut. Dan Price was simultaneously hailed as a hero and eviscerated as an enemy of capitalism.
Yeah, enemy of capital. Do you see how they frame this argument? Big government, big corporation, special interests that are seeing this guy, showing you that there's a way that these companies are posting record profits while laying off. Amazon just laid off 30,000 Americans, then rehired 10,000 plus H-1B visas and replace the rest with AI. They will eventually fire. Internal memos have leaked. Over 600,000 Americans will be fired and replaced with AI or H-1Bs, intermediaries. This is insane. Now, you split a bit of that top-end profit that goes to the executive suite and give it to the people on the bottom. You get baby booms, you get families buying homes, you get overall better life, and you get way more productivity out of your worker. But you know they won't do that because these people look at you like you're a fucking bug, like you're less than human. You are a drone that needs to clock in and clock out and make them money because you're too stupid otherwise and you don't deserve to breathe the same air. This is the shit that they've been pushing in the mainstream, that this is their version of capitalism. It's not capitalism. We haven't had a capitalist system in a long time. Too big to fail. We bailed out the banks with public money. Nobody went to jail. We think there are companies that are too big to fail. That is socialized losses and privatized gains. You are a clown if you think this is a capitalist system. If a real capitalist system existed, those banks would have failed, those CEOs would have ended up with nothing, and everybody should have been in prison that propagated that fucking scam on society. But alas, when you get past a certain size, you become invincible. Too big to fail. You become so huge, so massive that we can't afford to have you go under because it looks bad for the politicians. Yeah. Insane. You know, we do have anti-monopoly laws here to break up these giant companies that are actually a problem. When they control too much of a market and it becomes a systemic risk, that exists. But you know what happens? The big corporations then lobby and buy out all our politicians so that when there is ever legislation being pushed or, you know, monopoly practices being looked at, they get quashed. They get buried. And they're allowed to keep growing, getting bigger, and like a cancer, they're growing and metastasizing. And when they fail or they fall behind or some other competitor, like for example, some Chinese company knocks them off with a cheap product, they demand tariffs. They demand bailouts. They then want carve-outs in the market. We should ban all other competitors. They make entering the market impossible through regulations and all this other bullshit. They gatekeep themselves to success. There's no real free market competition here. It's bullshit. The big players have all walled themselves off with the government from ever being knocked down. It's a joke, bro. Look up what real capitalism looks like. We haven't been in that system forever.
Lunatic of all lunatics, Dan Price.
Personally, I think he's a socialist.
I hope this company is a case study in MBA programs because it's going to fail.
But that didn't happen.
So you've almost doubled the number of employees, and you've tripled business.
Yeah.
And you're
Shocker.
still paying a minimum of $70,000 a year.
Correct.
How much do you make?
I make $70,000 a year.
To pay his own bills, Price downsized his own life, sold a second home he owned, and tapped into his own savings.
I think it was a big risk.
Andrew Haffenbrack teaches at the University of Washington's Foster School of Business.
It does go against what people expect and what we usually see in terms of corporations and companies.
These days, average CEO compensation is 320 times more than the salaries of their typical workers.
This shows that isn't the only way for a company to be successful and profitable. Do you pay what you can get away with, or do you pay what you think is ideal or reasonable or fair?
Why aren't more companies doing this?
I would say that's the failure of this. You know, I feel like I've been shouting from the rooftop, like, this works, everybody should do it. And 0 big companies are following suit because the system values having the highest return with the lowest risk and the lowest amount of work.
But Price thinks Gravity's returns are up in large part because bigger paychecks have led to fiercely loyal employees.
Our turnover rate was
I'm so curious. That's what I'm waiting on. What's the turnover rate for this company? Fucking 0.
cut in half. So when you have employees staying twice as long, their knowledge of how to help our customers skyrocketed over time. And that's really what paid for the raise more so than my pay cut.
Meeting them where they are.
The company did take a hit during the pandemic, losing 55% of its business in March 2020. At one point, Price figured Gravity was only 4 months away from failing. But it bounced back after its employees voluntarily took a temporary pay cut.
Look at that.
Our salary to $40,000.
Yeah, I think we took each about somewhere around 60%.
Are you back up to normal now?
Not only back to normal, Gravity repaid us all of the pay cut that we had voluntarily given up.
Are we gonna get a little playpen in here for you?
Price says baby Thomas is one of 60 new additions to the company family over the past 6 years.
Look at that.
He also claims the number of employees buying homes has gone up tenfold.
We are right on track for the American dream. You know, we have a beautiful baby boy, a wonderful home, a beautiful life. We're not only just living, we're able to thrive.
And they're able to say thank you to the man who made it possible.
He has his dream car. We're like, hey, let's if we all chip in just a little bit, we can make it happen. And we did.
Oh my God! My employees have done way more for me than I could ever do for them. So the fact that they wanted to get me such an unreal, amazing gift, it's pretty special. I don't know if I can put it into words.
You could have.
That's so crazy, dude. This company had a meeting during COVID. Guys, we're kind of screwed here. I don't know what else to do. And then people volunteer and go, we'll take pay cuts, whatever. Yeah, we can cut it down in half. We get it. It's hard. If the business only has 4 more months of operating revenue, yeah, all right, we're all in agreement. We're going to take pay cuts rather than the company goes under and nobody earns nothing. And then they came back, started making more money. Everybody has got paid. They're back on track with their salary and then reimbursed. And then not only that, you built such an incredible culture within the company that the CEO now, he's being rewarded by the workers. Like, oh, this dude's wanted a Tesla. All right, bro. Hey, everybody, let's pitch in. And we bought him a Tesla. Every other company, it would have been these people were starving, barely making minimum fucking wage or whatever it is to survive in that city, adjusted for inflation and cost of living, dick pay. And then this guy would have been in Ferraris, Lamborghinis, just like lion's share of all the profits, and his turnover would have been insane. And maybe the company doesn't survive COVID, right? Maybe he lets off most of those people and then he has to hire more people after that need to retrain. So they're not up to speed. This turnover destroys a lot of companies' productivity. To retrain somebody to do the same amount of work at the same amount of speed with the same amount of quality as a seasoned worker is costly. A business loses money, a lot of money actually, just to bring that person up to snuff. And this happens over and over and over and over again because these people are top heavy. Only the people in the executive suites are making money. This is a good example of what could be in the future. But the propaganda, you saw it. The propaganda, especially from the rhinos, you saw with Rush Limbaugh over there. This is going to be an MBA case study on what not to do. You know, these fucking sellouts that take money from big corporations. Sold out America by big corporations. Always were pushing candidates that sold out America to big corporations. This is why we're in this right now. We're literally, America got commodified into one giant corporation where the top percentile make the lion's share as if this was a whole company running this fucking shit. And the rest of us are at the bottom, forced to manage however we can. And that's it. The government's not coming to save you. The people you're voting for already bought for. Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. Trump took hundreds of millions. Now he does Israel's bidding. You know, Canada would have taken hundreds of millions for who the fuck knows. Whoever the Dems take hundreds of millions. All the other corporations, because now they're big corporation too. And it's game over. So one party is a corporate hellhole and another party is for mass censorship and God knows what else is coming down the pipeline with all the stuff under the hood that they're building. There is no free market. You don't have a choice. Your vote actually doesn't matter much. We got screwed over with Citizen United. That literally divided the citizens. That said money is speech. Can you imagine that? Money is speech. And any company should be allowed to have super PACs to donate practically unlimited amounts. You have dark pools, you have shit like that. Money and politics don't mix. Our country is done for. If we don't reverse Citizens United, we have people like Nancy Pelosi that insider trade on information that would send me and you to prison for life. If we were to make $1 off of that information, she gets to make hundreds of millions of dollars in profit, enriching herself and her family beyond belief. Zero time in prison. Zero time. They did, who was it? Martha Stewart? They did Martha Stewart dirty for a phone call she had, and some guy, you know, she got wind of something happening and she made like $70,000. They arrested her ass. But Nancy Pelosi and other Republicans and Democrats in Congress do the same thing every single day. So much so that they have a stock tracker, like a picker, a fund where you get to invest the moment their disclosures are public about what companies they bought or sold, because they always seem to be right. So right, in fact, that they're outperforming hedge funds inside of Wall Street that have thousands of people, the smartest in the country, quants doing finance and all this shit and supercomputers to make profits. Somehow old-ass Nancy Pelosi is right more than them, more effective at trading. That's crazy, man, at investing. Trust me, we have so many problems, guys, that this dynamic of Republican and conservative, it has to die because the American people are being shafted. And a lot of us are starting to realize, because look at your pocket, it's collecting lint. Things are getting worse. How does it keep getting worse if you voted for the other side to fix it? Have you ever thought of that? If you voted left and the leftoids are like, oh, our guy's going to fix it, shit gets worse. If you vote right and the rightoids are like, oh, our guy's going to fix it, your life's getting worse. Things are getting more expensive. You're getting priced out of owning a home. The American dream seems like it's a fabrication completely. You shouldn't even be dreaming of that. It's a fantasy. It's the American fantasy at best. Do you see what happens when you give people a little bit more money to go over the threshold? You got a little baby boom at this company. You got new homeowners. Your dream is actually within reach. It just takes different people running the country. That's what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to get involved. They don't want us to clean up Congress, the Senate, the presidency. They want us hating one another. They don't want us to realize that the problem is looking up, not at each other. We make fun of each other, that's fine. But you know the real problem, the real power structure, it's above us. It's the haves versus the have-nots. And this is proof of what happens when you get somebody with a position of power that divvies up some of the profit. It's insane, dude, what kind of country we're in. People don't realize this shit. There's so many people that are blinded. That's not a CEO, that's a leader. People hate this because it shows a company can be run well without greedy CEOs. He's respected by his employees so much that they're going above and beyond for him and the company. They are super loyal employees. Well, this is one CEO that won't have to worry about Luigi Mangione. These are the CEOs we want. Funny how YouTube recommended this now. Not only did he pay them $70K per year, but when they had to take a pay cut to keep the company afloat, he reimbursed that money. This is a genuinely kind man. Yeah, the other CEOs don't want us to know about their greed. That isn't necessary to run a company. Yeah, insane, dude. Anyways, take care of yourselves, boys.